Hello and welcome to Weekend Warm-Up, coming to you from a hot and windy Azerbaijan Grand Prix from the streets of Baku. Now, I'm Laura Winter. Will Buxton is sunning himself in the UK over the course of the next two races. So for this one, the 6th race of the season, I'll be joined by Melissa Natu and Lawrence Barretto, of course. Melissa joining me now.
Hello.
Now, I must say, I am wearing heels. Melissa isn't that short and I'm not this tall.
I mean, I am this short, Laura. Let's not beat around the bush. I am this short, but I am here just to make the drivers feel tall, and I think I do that really successfully. So
perfect. You're not new to F1 by any stretch, but she is new to the team and to the paddock here. How are you enjoying it?
Oh my God, this is just an F1 fan's dream. So trust me, I'm loving every second, and I'm gonna make sure that you can, like, if you could see the smile under this mask, it is literally beaming from ear to ear. It's amazing. It's amazing here.
We can see it in your eyes for sure. Now, you had the privilege of speaking, of course, to Mercedes earlier on, both to Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas. Yeah. They will be looking, both of them, to put a disastrous Monaco Grand Prix behind them.
Yeah, I mean, even Bottas hasn't had the best start to this weekend. He's had a lot of travel disruption, but he has made it here. But yes, neither of them had a great race, and we know they weren't happy with how it went. But, you know, it's not a street circuit. It's very different. I know that Lewis said they think they could struggle here. But I think he always feels like that when he's come off the back of a not so great race. So we'll see how they're going to do.
And of course, Valtteri with that wheel nut making it, I think, the longest pit stop in history. Yeah. He's got to bounce back here. He'll be itching to go.
Of course he will. I mean, he's won here before, right? So both him and Lewis have won here. So either of them, I'm sure, will be looking to be the first repeat winners here in Baku. They could do it. They do still have a strong car, but who knows what? It's so windy here. It's so windy, as I'm sure you can see. So, anything can happen.
Absolutely, it's a street circuit, and that's the fun of it, right? It could be absolute chaos. Well, earlier on, of course, Melissa did speak to Lewis Hamilton. Here he is.
There are multiple reasons why we're not great at places like Monaco, and there are some tight sections here where we would just physically lose out. But in the past year, I think we've been okay. So I hope this weekend is still close with us.
And I'm now joined by Lawrence Barretto to discuss all things Red Bull and McLaren. I spoke to all four of these drivers earlier in the pen. And of course, Max Verstappen is in a position he's never been in before. He's leading the driver standings for the first time in his career, but very keen to impress that they are not getting carried away here.
No, and I think the most impressive thing about Max today when he was talking to the world media is that he's very relaxed. He's not getting stressed, even though he's got a car now that can fight for the world title, which he's never really had before. He's not letting him face him. He's not getting involved in mind games. He said, well, I can't be bothered with mind games in the press conference. I think the way that he's dealing with that is so important, especially as if we get an increasingly tight title fight, he's going to need that real strength to fight Lewis.
Is it truly advantage Red Bull? I know Max has very much been saying, well, look, Mercedes are going to be back to their best on normal tracks, not the street circuits, of course, we had in Monaco and we have here.
Well, Mercedes have been playing a good game and said they're going to struggle here. And Red Bull are saying they're expecting Mercedes to be stronger again. So, like, we've been here before. I do think that Red Bull are going to be stronger here than they are suggesting they are. It's going to be a straight fight between them and Mercedes, I think, for the win.
Sergio Perez, 2 podiums from 4 races here. He really loves this track.
Yeah, and he's on good form, see. I think something clicked in Monaco, where he feels like he's finally comfortable with the team. He's starting to understand this very tricky car to drive. He just needs a run of results. We've seen that throughout his career. He just needs some time to bed in, and I think we're getting there. And like you said, it's a great circuit to come to when he wants a big result.
And we'll take a little wander down the pit lane here. McLaren, Daniel Ricciardo, of course, very disappointed from Monaco. Lando Norris, absolute reverse turn of fortunes. For him, he's very happy. You just see my hair blow all over the shop there. Lando is saying that this track is going to cause chaos if it is this windy come Sunday, and it is due to be pretty much as windy, maybe dropping a little bit. But Lando Norris seems very relaxed. He said to me that after Monaco, this is how he celebrates, he went and played golf in the sunshine, and he was very happy to do so.
He loves golf. I think he was telling me that he's quite, he likes the mental side of golf and how that prepares him for being in a Formula 1 car. Obviously, physically, there's nothing the same. It's that kind of thing. I think Lando's performing at a level I don't think we've seen a young driver perform that consistently for many, many years. So I think what he's doing is very impressive. Daniel, I do feel really bad for him, but I think the important thing is in Monaco, he wasn't letting his head drop. The smile was still there. He just knows that he can get on top of things, just like he did at Renault. he'll get there in the end. He just needs the time and the team to kind of bed in around him, and that's exactly what they're doing.
I mean, the team line, though, that came out over the last week was, Daniel, it's not the car, it's you, in a sense.
It looks like it's a tricky car to drive. Daniel will take comfort from the fact that Lando agrees with him, and that this year versus last year, it is a different car to drive. Daniel knows he needs to adapt the way he drives, but that's not as simple as just getting in the car and going, oh, I drive it this way. He needs to drive it more and more and more to see how it reacts to the way he's trying to drive it. So give him half a season, and I think we won't be even talking about the fact that Daniel's having problems.
And I think the team are also looking to obviously try to help Daniel adapt to the car by adapting the car in a way as much as they can to him.
I think so, and he's their big money signing, so they've got to throw their weight behind him. And what he's done at teams beforehand at Red Bull and at Renault is so impressive that they've got to know that it's going to come good. They've dealt with drivers who maybe have struggled to settle in before, so they've got the experience of trying to help him into it. And you know, we've got 2022 coming in, there's a new car again, so they're not going to get too stressed about it. It's more about Daniel and whether he won't let it get to him. And at the moment, he's got a temperament enough to hold on to that.
And McLaren, we must say, P3 in the Constructor Championship as well. Ferrari are snapping at their heels, but it's looking very good for McLaren.
Yeah, look, it is looking so good for this team that 3 or 4 years ago they were nowhere. They were at the back of the field. Fernando Alonso had enough, and now here we are, P3 in the championship, fighting with Ferrari. Not too far off, really. The Mercedes and Red Bull. It's a different team, and I think for them, just before 2022 and the big regulations, this has come at exactly the right time.
Well, earlier on, I think I might have upset Daniel Ricciardo a little bit. Have a listen.
I was really good until a few seconds ago. So I was actually all right. You know, I think like Sunday night for sure it was like, yeah, you think about it a bit, but I moved on, I'd say, pretty quickly. You know, by Monday morning I was like full steam ahead. I wasn't down on myself for too long, and I think importantly spent a few good days with the team later that week, and just I think understood a lot, learnt a lot, and just kind of came out of it feeling like quite I don't like just calm about the situation, like not stressed, not panicked. For sure I want to do better, but it'll come, and I know it will, and obviously I want it to come sooner rather than later, but I know when it comes everyone will be like, oh yeah, it's just good old Ricciardo. So I'm not too stressed or concerned about the outside stuff, but I know definitely like I learned a lot the last week, and excited to try and put that into practice now and see how it goes.
Well, it was a much improved weekend for Aston Martin in Monaco. Sebastian Vettel getting his first points of the season, unbelievably to say that, P5, and Lance Stroll, P8. You spoke to Sebastian Vettel a little earlier on. We also spoke, of course, to Lance Stroll. What was the gist you got from Sebastian? Was he, I guess, happy, wasn't he?
Exactly. I mean, he had such a strong race for Aston Martin, obviously. He said the team are in a good place. I mean, obviously they've got improvements if they want to be fighting at the top again, but I think they were really happy with the result for both drivers last time out. And he's hopeful that they are on the clean side of the track on Sunday, because it can be very dirty out here. But he's in such a great place. I think when you come off a race like that, where everyone, he got driver of the day, everyone was praising him. He did an amazing overtake on Gasly. Like, you're definitely gonna come into a race like this and just feel energized again.
Yeah, he's riding that momentum, riding that wave. And for Lance, of course, this was the track, the circuit where he got his first podium for Williams back in 2017. So there'll be amazing memories for him here.
Oh my God! If you've been on the podium here, you know that you're good at this track, right? So you're already kind of halfway there. So we just have to see what this team does this weekend, because I think they're in a really strong position going forward.
Absolutely. Well, as mentioned, Melissa did speak to Sebastian Vettel earlier on. Here's what he had to say.
It was certainly a positive weekend, and great for all of us, the whole team, myself, and I think it was good to have both cars in the points as well. So it would be great to sort of repeat, but we'll see. It's a long weekend. It's a tough circuit here. It's very different, even though it's also a street circuit. So I don't know. I can't really predict, and I think I'm happier to wait and see how it goes.
Well, there were the thoughts of Sebastian Vettel from one veteran of the grid, shall I say, to another. We're outside Alpine, of course. Esteban Ocon and Fernando Alonso, said veteran. No offence to you, Fernando. We're seeing real signs of promise, aren't we? Of course, Spain, Portimao, they really began to move on, push on, and then a good points score for Esteban in Monaco, but a tricky weekend for Fernando.
Yeah, it was tougher for him on a track where you need confidence. So it was clear that Fernando hasn't quite got that yet. He admits that he needs more time in the car to kind of get settled and get over the fact he's been out of Formula 1 for 2 years now. The good thing is, in race trim, he's only a couple of seconds off the points, and that's when he's not even operating at a high level. Qualifying's where he needs to improve, and he knows that. But he was quite cheeky today. He kind of said, look, I'm not worried because I know I can do it. It's just going to take a couple more races. I reckon, come the summer break, Hungary, just after that, I think we're going to see a different Fernando Alonso. And we could be seeing a different Alpine because, like you said, they're just going in this direction. Absolutely.
I like the thought of that. A different Fernando Alonso. Who knows who we'll see. I spoke with Esteban Ocon, and he was chirpy as ever, actually. He scored points now in 4 consecutive races, 12 points from 5 races. So he's very happy and satisfied with his progress. Of course, lots of contract rumblings for him, though, in his final year at Alpine. But he's trying to ignore all that, basically.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is it's kind of the Lando effect at McLaren is happening with Esteban here. And it's coming at exactly the right time. Fernando Alonso, double world champion, could put him off, but it's not. It's actually made him a lot better. And I think that Esteban is the kind of driver that Alpine could build themselves around in the future. The way that he's going, why would you not want to do that? He's French, he's performing very strongly, and Alpine have aspirations to do really well. So for Esteban, he's just got to keep doing what he wants to do. That contract will come.
Yeah, I think so as well, and he's certainly impressed the boss, let's say. Ferrari next up. My goodness me, it was an eventful weekend for them in Monaco. Dramatically mixed fortunes as well. Of course, you had Carlos Sainz P2 on the podium, you had Charles Leclerc on pole, then he was a DNS. I mean, how gutted must he have been? You spoke to him. How is he dealing with Monaco?
He's dealing with it really well, to be fair. He's put it behind him already. I think, to be honest, when he went to bed that night, I think he probably accepted that, that's just the way it goes sometimes. He can take real confidence in the fact that they were up there. He got pole. They were up there competing for the Grand Prix. It didn't quite work out for him, but the level that he's had up until that point this year has been so strong. So he's not letting him phase him. He's very excited about this race. He was very, very quick to say, don't expect a Monaco performance here. He was like, because he knows it's going to be tough around here with this long straight. It's just going to be far tougher for Ferrari. But his head is high, his spirits are high. He's excited, just as his teammate Carlos Sainz is. Like you said, mega podium in Monaco. He of all the drivers that have moved teams, or like Fernando Alonso come back to a team, he's performing the strongest, which is remarkable given he's the most inexperienced of those drivers. He's super confident, the team love him. I think him and Carl working together, they're not there's no infighting or anything, they're sharing data. Everything's going in the right direction for those guys, and for the team itself, you're seeing the results.
What I find quite astonishing and noteworthy for Ferrari is that it's seen as a slightly less good weekend if they're not in that top 3 in terms of the constructor standings. But actually, you look back on last season, their worst season for 40 years, they'd have probably bitten your hand off for a result like Monaco and to be up in the mix for Baku as well.
I think you're right. It just shows how far that they've come, that they've been able to change their mentality straight away. These guys are used to fighting for constructors and drivers championships, so I guess it's always been inside them to want to be doing that. But then for them to make this kind of step this quickly just shows that these guys have got the resources and the people to do it. They just need to get it right, essentially. And it looks like they're moving in the right direction now. So it's really positive times for these guys at the moment.
And Carlos, though, is being as reticent as Charles about their sort of chances here. I love how all the teams are just playing themselves down.
I think because Monaco was so unique, I think Ferrari are kind of accepting the fact that not just here, but everywhere else this year, bar in, say, Hungary and Singapore, they're not going to be able to replicate that form, and I suppose they don't want to put expectations up for their loyal tifosi. That said, they are probably the 3rd or 4th best team, which means they're going to be fighting for those 5th and 6th, and then be there when, one of the top teams doesn't score heavily. So at the moment, I think they're just trying to take the advantage of no pressure on their shoulders, play everything down, and then scoop up the results at the end.
Yeah, great stuff. We move on to AlphaTauri. Yuki Tsunoda is a driver who burst onto the scene with that points debut at the first race of the year. I think now, 5 races in, we can begin to see how drivers and teams are settling into the 2021 season. And Yuki is a driver who has actually readily admitted that he was just aiming too high and pushing too hard.
I feel really bad for Yuki because he had that mega start, got points on his debut, and then it's kind of all gone downhill from there. From the people that I've spoken to who've known Yuki in the past, they've always said that it's win or nothing. So I can kind of see why he's come here, and he's obviously tried to really go for it, and it hasn't quite worked out. He's probably tried to run before he can walk. The good thing is he's recognised that. He's done little things like move closer to the factory in Faenza now, so he's closer to the team, can go in on a daily basis, much like Lando and Carlos have done in previous years. So he's learning. He's a quick learner, and Franz Tost his boss, isn't not getting angry with him. He's kind of putting his arm around his shoulder. He knows that this kid can come good. So they're doing all the right things with Yuki at the moment, and he's keeping a calm head. So fingers crossed, things can turn and he can settle down a bit and kind of have a smooth weekend with no incidents.
I think that's it, isn't it? It's about having a quieter weekend, and I mean quiet quite literally, because his race radio has become something that every F1 fan out there looks forward to listening to, but it's something he knows he needs to just keep under wraps.
Yeah, I think already he realises that, but it's a very hard habit to change, isn't it? If that's your just natural thing, is to get angry and then rein it back in straight away. The unfortunate thing is everyone's listening.
That's world, isn't it?
Exactly that. But I do think that's one area where he has been told by his boss, you need to sort that out. So I do think we'll see that kind of calm down over the number of races to come.
Well, I spoke to Pierre Gasly a bit earlier on after what he declared was his best performance of the season so far in Monaco. Here he is.
After Monaco, I think the whole team was really pleased with our performance, best quali, best race results. There was quite a big hype, but it's one race out of 23. Now we still have many more to come, and we need to make sure we can reproduce these kind of performances. So it was a bit of time off, and ready for this weekend for another hopefully strong weekend. Yeah.
Well, it was a solid weekend for Alfa Romeo in Monaco, and I think it's fair to say both drivers, Antonio Giovinazzi and Kimi Raikkonen, maximised all they could from that car with a P10 and a P11, of course. Antonio Giovinazzi in the points for the first time this season. And Melissa, you spoke to him.
I did, and obviously, coming off the back of that, you've got to be super happy, right? I know Kimi is still in the hunt for his first points, and it's possible. We've seen now that the Alfa Romeos have got it in them. Obviously, Antonio doesn't know what to expect this time around because it is a very different circuit, and I guess he's trying to manage expectations to a certain extent. So, I think, again, it gives you that kind of confidence in the car that it's in the points now. So that's something to build on. Like we said, we're only 5 races in. So there's so much time for the Alfa Romeo to get there. And I think potentially we could see Kimi getting a point or more, hopefully, for him.
Yeah, absolutely. They now have a foundation, a platform to build off, for sure. I think Kimi must remember, though, to attach his drink straw. That was something he didn't do in Monaco, and I think he finished incredibly dehydrated.
He has so many issues with his drinks. What is it with... Honestly, they definitely need to look into that, because we know he is not happy when he has drinks bottle issues.
And I think also a word on Antonio. Lawrence Barretto, which is just off camera, wrote a brilliant piece on F1.com about how he's coming of age and how he's actually finding his voice, and he's beginning to express his opinions to the staff, to the team, to the engineers, and really assert himself in the Alfa Romeo family.
I think you just get more confidence, don't you, now? When you go into a team and it's got someone like Kimi Raikkonen, of course you're going to kind of be like, okay, what can I say, what can I do? But he's settled in now, and the fans love him and the team love him. So I think you get that confidence to kind of speak up and, say, well, this isn't working for me and that isn't working for me. And it's paying off. So.
And it's worth noting as well that actually he's out qualifying Kimi Raikkonen 4-1 at the moment this season. We move on to Haas, another team who are very much on a steep learning curve in this 2021 season. You spoke to the drivers.
I did.
What did they have to say?
Mazepin, again, he is hopeful. He obviously comes off Monaco. He said it's one of his most complete races that he's had so far. He's learned a lot. He learned to drive close to the walls in Monaco, which is going to serve him well on another street circuit. So I think he's looking ahead, but he doesn't know what to expect. He has driven here before, but obviously in an F1 car, it's going to be very different. But I said to him, I was like, do you think this track suits your driving style? Because so often we talk about, certain tracks suiting this driver or that driver, and he's like, you know what, like, I don't think drivers have a driving style. He's like, I think we have to adapt to the race track that we're at. So I was like, well, fair enough. Like, he's doing that. And obviously, Mick, he didn't have such a great race in Monaco, so I know that he's always positive though. I know he's looking forward to it because again he has raced here, but starting an F1 car, he's like, God, it's going to be very different, very fast.
And another street circuit as well, of course. In qualifying, in free practice he crashed out. He couldn't qualify, and he was reportedly in tears after that incident as well, which I think for any fan would break your heart to hear that a young rookie coming into his first season, we know how much he cares.
Yeah, and people just have so much love for him. They want him to do well, right? So I think that's he has so much support behind him that hopefully plays a huge role in helping him get there.
Yeah, I have no doubt that both drivers will continue to progress through the season. Nicholas Latifi and George Russell, Williams currently 9th in the constructor standings, of course, ahead of Haas. Neither driver have yet to score points. George Russell has come close. I think every F1 fan out there wants to see them do well. It is windy here, and in Portimao, George was very vocal about how the wind was affecting his car. Got to say, it's windier here than it was in Portimao. You spoke to Nicholas Latifi though, what did he say?
I mean, he said this is one of his favourite tracks. So he is, for him, the aim is always Q2. But they've had their struggles, obviously. But I said, what do you think you can do here? And he's like, we're just going to try our best. Q2 is always the aim, but he just doesn't know. But he loves racing around here. So hopefully it pays off for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as I mentioned, Melissa also spoke to George Russell. Here's what he had to say.
Being this windy on a street circuit isn't quite as penalising as it would be in a track such as Bahrain or Portimao. It's very enclosed, you're going through the buildings, so even if here it feels very, very windy, not this second now, but on track it may be very different. Or it may be even more windy because it's getting funneled through the building, so we'll have to wait and see for tomorrow.
Well, that was weekend warm-up from the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. The time has come, though, for you both to put your money where your mouths are and to make a prediction. And I don't want it to be, I expect Lewis to win, because that is boring. We want bold predictions, please.
I don't think Lewis is going to win, actually. So I don't know if that's a bold prediction, is it? I don't know.
No, it's not. Max Verstappen's leading the drivers' standings. That's not bold at all.
No, my prediction is Fernando Alonso top 6 and Yuki Tsunoda to score a point.
Okay, a podium prediction from you?
A Ferrari on the podium.
For which? Who? Which Ferrari? Come on.
Charles
on the podium. Okay, I like your style.
Yeah.
Melissa, I know this is your first weekend warm-up, so
That's
I will
okay.
get easy on you. What's your prediction?
I am going to go bold with George Russell picking up his first points.
Oh my goodness, okay.
I would like that for him, so we'll go with that. And maybe on the podium, Sergio Perez.
Okay, we've got a Sergio Perez.
Is that
podium.
bold enough?
That is bold enough that it was actually my prediction. So I don't quite know how I'm going to go with this. Yeah. So I will say a Lando Norris podium, which isn't that bold at all, is it? But there is your weekend warm-up for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Enjoy the weekend of racing.